Today we're whipping up the ultimate double chocolate brownies. This is the only brownie recipe you're ever gonna need. It's not too cakey, it's not too gooey, it's just that perfect ultra fudgy texture that we all love. And I guarantee if you make these, everybody will be asking you for the recipe. So grab a bowl, let's get started. So traditional brownies rely on eggs for their binding, but what we're gonna use instead is some ground flax seeds. These are a great alternative. So we're just gonna add these flax seeds to a large bowl, along with some water and some freshly brewed espresso. The espresso enhances the chocolate flavor beautifully, but strong pour over coffee works too. Or if you're in a pinch, you could just use some water, but trust me, the coffee makes all the difference here. And now we can give everything a good stir. And next we're gonna add in some granulated sugar, some brown sugar, and vanilla extract. Using both granulated sugar and brown sugar is a crucial choice. So the granulated sugar adds this classic sweetness, but it also helps to crisp up the edges of the brownies, whereas the brown sugar adds moisture. So that's gonna contribute to chewiness, but also it adds this like subtle caramel undertone. So now that everything is in the bowl, we're just gonna mix it all together. Next, let's set up a double boiler. For this, we're gonna add a few centimeters of water into a saucepan, bring it all to a simmer, and then place a heat-proof bowl on top. And then into the bowl, we're gonna add some unsalted vegan butter and some dairy-free dark chocolate. So the gentle heat from the steam is heating up the bowl, and that in turn is gonna heat up the chocolate without burning it. And as soon as the chocolate is melted, we're then gonna take the bowl off the heat, just be careful because it will be hot, and then just transfer everything to the large bowl and give it all a good mix. Next, we can add in the dry ingredients. One thing that's important to mention, if you're using measuring cups, try to measure out the flour gently with a spoon, just placing it into the cup and then leveling it off without packing it. If you overpack, it means there's gonna be too much flour in these brownies. That's gonna contribute to a more cakey texture instead of a lovely fudgy texture. But ideally, if you've got a kitchen scale, you're gonna wanna use that to weigh out the ingredients. It's gonna allow for more precision. So next, just grab a sieve and add to it the flour along with some Dutch processed cocoa powder. Other kinds of cacao and cocoa powder might work too, but we like to use Dutch processed because it's alkalized, which means it's less acidic, and that's gonna contribute to a more rich and smooth chocolate flavor. We're also gonna add a bit of baking powder to give the brownies just the right amount of lift, plus a bit of salt to balance the flavors. This is why we always want to use a sieve when adding our dry ingredients. The cocoa powder in particular really likes to clump, and so by sifting it, we're helping to break apart those clumps. And now we can just mix this all up until it's partly combined. And for the best part, we're gonna chop up some more chocolate into chunks, reserve a little handful of it for later, add the rest of it to the bowl, and mix until it's just combined, but be careful not to overmix. Now, what kind of baking pan should you use when you're making brownies? Ceramic, metal, glass? For the best brownies, you want to use a metal pan if you can, and especially the lighter colored ones. So metal conducts heat very quickly and evenly. That's going to make sure that the baking is very consistent. If you're using a darker colored metal pan though, just remember that darker things absorb heat a lot more, so you might want to drop your oven temperature by just a few degrees. And while glass and ceramic, they work too, they tend to take a lot longer to heat up, and so that could end up, undercooking the middle of your brownie or overcooking the outside of your brownie because it's not cooking as consistently. So a lighter colored tin is best. Now, here's a little hack on how you can perfectly line your baking pan with parchment paper. First, we're gonna cut a piece of parchment paper slightly larger than the pan. And we're gonna place the pan on top of the parchment and just mark at each corner. Then we're gonna fold along those markings, and then using scissors, we're gonna make one cut at each corner to where the folds meet. And now the paper should fit perfectly into the pan. If you want, you can also use a little bit of butter to help the parchment stay in place. And voila, your pan is perfectly lined and ready to go. Now we're gonna transfer the batter to the prepared dish, and since it's on the thicker side, just be sure to smooth out the top. For a bakery style finish, you can sprinkle the reserved chocolate bits over top of everything. Then we're gonna place the brownies in a preheated oven set to conventional top and bottom heating. Avoid the fan assisted setting. And we're just gonna bake these at 350 Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius for 30 to 35 minutes. When these brownies come out of the oven, This is the hardest part, I feel like, which is we have to wait. And patience is a virtue that pays off with brownies. So ideally we want to wait a couple of hours for it to come to room temperature. It's also going to make it easier to cut. But if you want the ultimate fudgy texture, pop these brownies into the fridge. I find the texture is even better the next day, which makes it perfect to prep if you want to. But if you can't wait, enjoying the brownies warm is of course delicious too. And that, my friends, is how you make extraordinary, rich, fudgy, and utterly packed with chocolate brownies.
Very nice.
Oh.
Very fudgy.
The full breakdown for this brownie recipe is on our website. The link for that is in the description box below. And if you're hungry for even more, we have an incredible app, if I do say so myself, that has lots of delicious baked goods on it and some wholesome recipes. If you want to try out 7 days for free, I'm gonna leave a QR code for you right here to scan. There's also a link in the description box below. And if you try these brownies, let me know what you think. I'm very curious. Pickle, I'm signing off. Thanks for baking with me today. See you in the next video. But some strong pour over measuring double chocolate brownies. The gentle heat that's...
So it's like one little beat.
I think it's this guy. 3, 2, and 1. The gentle, is it okay? Oh, it came back?
Yeah.
You gotta get that perfect slice. Oh my gosh! Why can't I? There we go.